They were always together, always smiling, always looking like brothers. But sometimes the people closest to you are the ones watching you the most. One evening, inside a quiet cafe on a classic street, Chidera spoke softly. I think this might finally be my breakthrough. Kunle stirred his drink slowly. Then he smiled, a strange smile. Your breakthrough, he repeated. Chidera nodded. Yes, I worked hard for this. Kunle leaned forward. His voice dropped, sharp but calm. Chidera, you talk too much. The table went silent. Chidera blinked. What do you mean? Kunle laughed lightly. The kind of laugh that didn't carry joy. The kind of laugh that carried something else. You always think life is fair, Kunle said, but this city doesn't reward the calm ones. Chidera forced a small smile. Kunle continued, louder now so others could hear. Let me teach you something since you don't understand how the world works. People around them began to listen. Chidera felt heat rise in his face, but he said nothing. He swallowed the humiliation, like he always did, because Kunle was his friend, or at least that was what Chidera still believed. Outside, the streetlights flickered. A cold wind passed. Kunle looked at Chidera and said quietly, You trust me, right? Chidera hesitated, then nodded. Kunle smiled again. This time, it was darker, because deep inside Kunle's heart, something had already been decided, and Chidera had no idea that the next time they would stand together in public, only one of them would still be smiling. Emerald City was the kind of place people dreamed about. Classic streets, tall buildings with glass windows, old streetlights that made the nights look golden. Cars moved slowly, and the city always felt alive. In this city, two names were known by many, Chidera Okoye and Kunle Adebayo. People often saw them together, at cafes, at events, at business gatherings. They looked like brothers. Kunle was loud, confident, and always talking. Chidera was calm, gentle, and always listening. Most people believed they were the perfect friendship. But friendships are not always what they look like on the outside, because even though Kunle smiled often, there was something in his eyes that never smiled, something hidden, something watching. That morning, Chidera walked through downtown Emerald City with a small folder in his hand. Inside it was something important, a proposal, a business idea, something he had worked on for months. His heart was beating fast, not from fear, but from hope. He entered a tall building with the words Eze and Sons Investments. This was one of the biggest companies in the city. Getting noticed here was not easy. Chidera had been invited for a private meeting. It was a big deal, a life-changing deal. When he came out an hour later, his hands were shaking, not because it went badly, but because it went too well. A senior manager had smiled at him and said, "We will contact you soon, Mr. Okoye. Your idea is impressive." Chidera stepped outside and breathed deeply. For the first time in a long time, he felt like his life was about to change. He immediately called Kunle. Kunle picked up after the second ring. "Guy, what's up?" Chidera smiled. "Kunle, I think something good is about to happen." Kunle paused. "Oh?" "Yes, the meeting went well, very well." There was silence on the line. Then Kunle laughed. "That's my guy, I told you." But Chidera didn't notice the small shift in Kunle's voice. The laugh sounded normal, but it was slightly forced, like someone clapping with only one hand. Kunle quickly added, "Come meet me this evening, let's talk." Chidera agreed. "Sure, same cafe?" "Yes, same cafe." Kunle hung up. And when the call ended, his smile disappeared. That evening, the cafe was warm and busy. Soft music played in the background. People chatted and laughed. Chidera arrived first. He sat quietly, looking out the window. He was thinking about his future. A few minutes later, Kunle walked in.
He wore a clean jacket, a gold wristwatch, and confidence like perfume. He sat down and grinned. "So, Mr. Big Businessman." Chidera chuckled. "Stop it, Kunle." Kunle leaned forward. "Tell me everything." Chidera began to explain his proposal. He spoke gently, carefully. But as he spoke, Kunle's face changed little by little. At first he nodded. Then he smirked. Then he interrupted. "No, no, no." Chidera stopped. Kunle waved his hand. "That's not how these people think." Chidera frowned slightly. "I'm just saying what I presented." Kunle cut him off again. "Chidera, listen." His voice was louder now. Some people nearby turned to look. "You always talk like you understand the world, but you don't."
Chidera froze. Kunle continued smoothly. "You're too soft, too calm. Life doesn't reward calm people." Chidera swallowed hard. "Kunle, I wasn't trying to." Kunle laughed. "Relax, I'm just helping you." Helping? That word sounded strange coming from him. Kunle leaned back like a teacher correcting a child. "If you want to succeed in Emerald City, you need to be sharp, like me." Chidera forced a smile. He didn't want an argument, not with Kunle, not his best friend. So he nodded. "I understand." Kunle's eyes lingered on him. Then he asked quietly, "So, if they accept your proposal, what happens next?" Chidera smiled again, hopeful. "I might get a position, maybe even a contract." Kunle nodded slowly. His fingers tapped the table. Tap, 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 like a clock counting down. Then Kunle said something that sounded innocent, but carried weight. "You trust me, right?" Chidera blinked. "Of course, you're my brother." Kunle smiled. But this time, it didn't reach his eyes. "Good," he said softly. "Because I have something special planned for you." Chidera's face lit up. "Really?" Kunle nodded. "Yes." He paused. "A big event is coming soon. Very important people will be there." Chidera leaned forward. "What kind of event?" Kunle's smile widened. "A charity night." Chidera hesitated. "I don't really like crowds." Kunle's voice became firm. "You will come." Chidera blinked. Kunle quickly softened his tone. "It could change everything for you." Chidera nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll come." Kunle raised his glass. "To your future." Chidera raised his too. "To our future." But as they clinked glasses, Kunle's eyes stayed cold. Because deep inside him, a thought was growing louder. A dangerous thought. If Chidera rises, then what will happen to me? Outside, the streetlights flickered again, and somewhere in Emerald City, something unseen was already moving. Slowly, quietly, like a shadow.
The next morning, Chidera woke up with a strange feeling in his chest. Kunle's words from the cafe kept replaying in his mind. "You trust me, right?" It sounded normal, but something about it felt heavy. Still, Chidera shook it off. Kunle was his best friend. He wouldn't mean any harm. Later that day, Chidera received a message. Unknown number. Be careful who you call a friend. Chidera stared at the screen. His stomach tightened. He typed back quickly. Who is this? No reply. That evening, Kunle showed up at Chidera's apartment uninvited. He walked in like he owned the place. Guy, why are you looking so serious? Chidera hesitated. I got a strange text today. Kunle raised an eyebrow. What kind of text? Chidera showed him. Kunle read it, then laughed. Chidera, you worry too much. It's probably a scam. But his laugh was too quick, too sharp, like he wanted the topic to die immediately. Kunle then smiled and said, Forget that. Focus on the charity night. Chidera nodded slowly. When is it? Kunle leaned closer. Tomorrow. Chidera blinked. Tomorrow? Kunle's voice became firm.
Yes, and you must come alone. Chidera frowned. Alone? Why? Kunle smiled. Because I want you to shine by yourself. Chidera forced a small smile. Okay. Kunle stood up. As he walked to the door, he paused. Then he said quietly, just do exactly what I tell you tomorrow. Chidera's heart skipped. What do you mean? Kunle turned back with that same strange smile. You'll understand soon. Then he left. Chidera locked the door behind him. The apartment suddenly felt too quiet. He looked at his phone again, at the unknown message, then out the window, at Emerald City glowing calmly in the night. But deep inside Chidera, a quiet fear was beginning, because something was coming, and he could feel it.
The next morning, Chidera couldn't focus. Kunle's words from yesterday kept echoing in his head. Just do exactly what I tell you tomorrow. He didn't like how firm Kunle had sounded. By noon, Chidera received an elegant invitation. It was from Kunle, written in bold golden letters. Emerald Charity Night, dress to impress, arrive alone. Chidera's chest tightened. Alone? Why alone? He tried calling Kunle, but the line went straight to voicemail. Something about this feels wrong, he thought. That evening, Kunle appeared at Chidera's apartment again. Ready for tomorrow? He asked, smiling broadly. Chidera nodded slowly. I just want to make sure nothing goes wrong. Kunle laughed lightly, almost too easily. Relax, Chidera. I'll guide you. Trust me. Chidera's stomach churned. Something in Kunle's eyes didn't match the words he was saying. It was sharp, calculating. Later that night, Chidera couldn't sleep. He looked out over Emerald City, its streets shimmering like gold. And he thought about their friendship. Kunle had always been so confident, so bold. But why did boldness now feel like a warning? Tomorrow will tell everything, Chidera whispered. Little did he know, Kunle had already set the first pieces of a plan that could humiliate him in front of everyone. And this plan was nothing like Chidera had ever faced before.
The night of the charity event arrived faster than Chidera expected. He dressed carefully in a crisp suit, looking polished but calm. Kunle arrived shortly after, wearing a perfectly tailored outfit and that familiar, confident smile. Looking sharp, Chidera, Kunle said, clapping him lightly on the shoulder. Chidera nodded, trying to hide the unease twisting in his stomach. The venue was breathtaking. Golden lights reflected off tall glass walls. People in elegant attire mingled, laughing and sipping drinks. Soft music floated across the grand hall. Kunle guided Chidera through the crowd. Stick close to me, Kunle said casually, but there was something in his tone, almost a command. Chidera obeyed silently. As they moved toward the main hall, Chidera noticed small things that felt off. A waiter lingered too long near them. A security guard glanced at him strangely and then quickly looked away. Kunle's hand brushed against his, and he smiled too easily. Why do I feel like everyone is watching me? Chidera thought. Then, near the center of the hall, Kunle stopped. Here we are, he said, voice light, as if nothing mattered. He leaned close to Chidera. Remember what I told you. Follow my lead. Trust me. Chidera nodded again, swallowing a knot of unease. As the event began, Chidera mingled cautiously, but he couldn't shake the feeling that Kunle wasn't just guiding him, he was leading him somewhere, and Chidera couldn't tell if it was for his own good or for something far worse. The golden lights glinted off Kunle's watch, and for a fleeting second, Chidera's mind whispered a warning. This isn't just an event. Something is about to happen. And somewhere in the back of the hall, someone was already waiting, watching, and ready to make sure the plan unfolded perfectly.
The charity hall was buzzing. Glasses clinked, laughter floated in the air. Chidera moved carefully, keeping his calm face. But he noticed something strange. People were staring at Kunle more than him. Kunle laughed too loudly at a joke. He corrected someone in front of a group, showing off like a king. And every time, Chidera felt a chill run down his spine. Kunle is showing off, not helping me, Chidera thought. Later, near the center of the hall, Chidera overheard a conversation.
2 guests whispered, "Isn't Kunle a bit too eager to be the center of attention?" "Yeah, he's acting like he knows more than everyone here." Chidera's eyes narrowed. A small smile formed, almost imperceptible. He realized something. Kunle was bold because he believed no one could see through him. He thought Chidera was just calm, just weak. But calm isn't weakness, Chidera thought silently. It's patience, and patience has its moment. Kunle approached him, speaking quietly, almost teasing. "See? You should have said it like this, Chidera. Don't fumble in front of people." Chidera looked up, steady, and said softly, "I'm not fumbling, Kunle. I'm just observing." Kunle laughed, thinking he had the upper hand. "Observing? Observing won't get you anywhere in this city, my friend." Chidera nodded politely. But inside, a plan was forming. A quiet one. He wouldn't humiliate Kunle now. Not yet. He would wait. Watch. And when the right moment came, the tables would turn. By the end of the night, the crowd was impressed by the speeches and the glamour of the event. But one thing was clear to Chidera. Kunle was bold. Too bold. And boldness can be a weakness. Because when the fateful day comes, only calm minds survive.
The charity night was at its peak. People mingled under the golden lights, glasses clinking, laughter floating softly. Kunle led Chidera to a table in the center of the room. "Here," Kunle said, voice smooth. "This is your spot. Stand tall. Shine." Chidera hesitated. "Why here?" Kunle's smile was sharp. "Because everyone can see you. You'll impress them, if you do it right." Chidera nodded slowly. Inside, a cold realization hit him. Kunle isn't just guiding me. He's trying to control the scene. Moments later, a guest accidentally dropped a delicate gift on the floor. Kunle leaned in, whispering loud enough for others to hear. "Chidera, you should have noticed that before it happened." Heads turned. Whispers started spreading through the crowd. Chidera's face burned. But instead of reacting, he stayed calm. He smiled politely, straightened his posture, and said softly, "Thank you for pointing it out." Kunle's eyes flickered. He's not panicking. The final event of the night was the award presentation. Chidera was asked to present a small trophy. Kunle guided him from the side, whispering instructions, correcting every gesture. "Not like that. Hold it higher. Speak louder." Chidera obeyed, but inside he had a quiet thought. The bolder he is, the easier he will fall. As Chidera presented the trophy, Kunle's instructions became more public. "Look this way. Smile. Don't forget to bow properly." People were now noticing Kunle more than Chidera. Some eyes rolled subtly, some whispered. Chidera's calmness, his quiet confidence, made Kunle appear frantic, overbearing. For the first time that night, Kunle looked slightly uncomfortable. "It's only the beginning," Chidera thought. "I've watched, I've waited, and now the moment will come." Outside, the city light shimmered, and somewhere in the crowd, a shadowy figure observed silently. Someone important, someone who would play a key role in making sure justice and karma arrives. The trap was set, but the predator didn't know. The calm prey was ready.
For Chidera, something had shifted. He wasn't anxious. He wasn't scared. He was ready. Kunle, on the other hand, woke up with a grin he couldn't fully hide. "Today," Kunle muttered to himself, looking in the mirror, "everyone will see who's really in control." The charity event began again that evening, but this time it was more formal, more crowded. Chidera arrived calmly, walking straight past Kunle without hesitation. Kunle's eyes flickered. He expected hesitation. He expected nervousness. Instead, Chidera's calm presence unsettled him. Kunle guided Chidera to the center of the hall again. "Stand here. Smile." Chidera obeyed, but unlike before, his smile wasn't forced. It was steady, confident. Kunle leaned in, whispering corrections, but Chidera barely acknowledged him. "I've waited long enough," Chidera thought quietly. Then it happened.
A guest near their table accidentally dropped a gift. Kunle immediately tried to direct Chidera, speaking loud enough for the crowd to hear. "Chidera, watch it. Don't let that distract you." Chidera looked straight at him, his voice calm, firm. "Kunle, I've got this." A ripple of whispers went through the crowd. People noticed the shift. The friend who seemed timid before was suddenly bold, and the bully? He looked small. Kunle's smile faltered. He's standing his ground. But why now? As the night progressed, Kunle's instructions became more frantic, more visible. Chidera moved with ease, greeted guests, and handled everything flawlessly. Kunle's confidence began to crack. Small mistakes, unnoticed before, now seemed glaring. He adjusted his tie nervously, cleared his throat, tried to regain control, but the audience had already noticed. The calm one isn't just calm, Kunle realized, panic rising. He's been quiet, watching, waiting. Chidera smiled softly, almost imperceptibly. The bond of friendship had kept him silent for years. But today, it was time for the world to see who he really was. And Kunle, for the first time, understood that boldness alone wasn't enough.
The charity hall was alive with chatter and laughter, but something was different. Chidera walked confidently through the crowd. Heads turned, whispers spread. Even the hosts noticed how poised he was. Kunle's grin faded slightly. He tried to maintain his charm, but his eyes started nervously. Why does he seem untouchable? Kunle thought. He's supposed to be flustered. He's supposed to crumble. Moments later, Kunle saw his opportunity. A valuable gift, meant for display, sat unattended on a small table. Kunle nudged Chidera lightly. "See that? Keep your eyes on it. Don't let anything happen." Chidera looked at him. Calm, collected. "Relax, Kunle. I've got it covered." Kunle frowned. He's too calm, too confident. Then it happened. A server tripped nearby. The gift wobbled, nearly falling. Kunle opened his mouth to shout instructions, but Chidera moved first. In a single smooth motion, Chidera steadied the gift, placed it safely on the table, and smiled at the crowd. "Everything's fine," he said softly. A ripple of applause went through the guests. Whispers started. He handled that perfectly. "Kunle looks nervous?" Kunle's confidence cracked. He stepped forward, trying to regain control. You listen." Chidera interrupted him calmly. "No, Kunle, I've got this. You can step back." The crowd froze. Kunle's jaw tightened. He tried to laugh it off, but it sounded forced. For the first time, Kunle realized something chilling. Chidera hadn't been quiet because he was weak. Chidera had been calm because he was stronger. By the end of the night, the whispers turned to murmurs. Chidera moved with ease, greeted everyone, and even handled the media attention without a single misstep. Kunle's trap had completely backfired. And in that moment, Chidera's quiet smile said everything. "I stayed calm all these years, not because I was afraid, but because I knew my time would come." Kunle's shoulders slumped slightly. His boldness, once his weapon, had become his undoing. And the audience, the city, had witnessed it all. Emerald City would not forget this night.
The charity night was winding down. Golden lights reflected off the tall glass windows of Emerald City, and the crowd had begun to relax, but the tension between Chidera and Kunle still lingered. Chidera moved through the hall calmly, each step measured. Guests greeted him warmly. He smiled, gracious, confident. Not a single person doubted him. Kunle followed closely, trying to maintain control, but now he was second in the spotlight. Every whisper, every glance reminded him he had lost the upper hand. Near the stage, the organizers announced a surprise presentation, a special award for integrity and calm leadership. Kunle stiffened. He glanced at Chidera, expecting doubt, panic, anything. But Chidera simply stood tall. His calm eyes scanned the room, and when the announcer called his name, a hush fell over the crowd. "Chidera Okoye," the host said, "for demonstrating patience, composure, and quiet strength under pressure, we honor you tonight." Applause erupted. People cheered. Kunle froze. Chidera stepped forward to accept the award. He looked at Kunle and spoke softly, just for him to hear. "Kunle, I stayed calm all these years, not because I was weak. I stayed calm because I respected our bond. I trusted you as a friend. But today, I stand for myself." Kunle's face fell. The audience sensed the tension. For the first time, Kunle understood that his arrogance and jealousy had blinded him. The media cameras flashed, guests whispered. Chidera returned to his seat, award in hand, a quiet smile on his face. Kunle tried to speak, tried to correct the narrative, but nobody listened. He realized painfully that boldness alone was meaningless without respect and humility. And outside, Emerald City glittered under the night sky, a city full of ambition, envy, and power. But tonight, patience and calmness had won. Chidera's victory wasn't loud or aggressive. It wasn't about revenge. It was about showing strength, proving that true friends and true confidence never need to shout. Kunle watched silently, and deep inside, he knew the lesson was unforgettable.